Hey everybody, it's Lindsay and I'm here today with a video on repeat stamping. Now today I will be using the Make-A-Wish stamp set. This is from Two Paper Divas. I've used this quite a few times, it's one of my favorites. But I'm starting out with a piece of 4" by 5.5" white cardstock in my Misty. I'm going to go ahead and place that candle stamp right in the center of my cardstock, and I'm inking it up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'll go ahead and stamp this down, and I will double stamp this just to kind of get the stamp started. And also because I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, it's not a very crisp, clean black ink, but I'm using my alcohol markers, so that is what I have to use. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and move my cardstock over to the left in my Misty, and I'm also just going to move it slightly up. I don't want a straight line of stamping. I want them to be a little, some are higher, some are lower. I got the inspiration from a picture on Pinterest of actual candles, so that is what I'm kind of going off of. They weren't in a straight line, they were all a little off from each other. So that's what I'm going for. I'm just moving this over, up and down, and then I'll just continue to do that. Now after my third stamp, I got smart and I turned my Misty horizontally. This gives me a little more room to work with. So I will go ahead and put that in there, and I'm just going to continue stamping this. Again, I want the entire card filled up with these candle stamps. I just want some a little bit higher, some lower, so I'll just continue to move my cardstock up and down. Now, you will run out of room in your Misty for your cardstock when you get to the ends. That's okay. You can still stamp with this while your cardstock is hanging out of your Misty. It stamps perfectly fine. As you can see here, I got a great image just by hanging it out of the side of it. And there, my candles are all ready to go. And I just did this by repeatedly stamping over and over with the same stamp to give me a complete background. Now I wanted to go ahead and color all of these candles in with my alcohol markers. I'm using very bright, bold colors for these, and I'm using 2 of each color. I'm using 2 of a blue color, 2 of, it was a pink, and I wasn't happy with these colors. I wasn't happy with the way they were blending. So I will show you how I fix that in just a moment. But I'm moving on, and I'm going to use 2 greens and then 2 yellows. So very bright, bold colors for this card. Now I wasn't happy with that pink candle, so I took my darkest color and I colored the candle completely in over all that coloring I had done. And then I brought in a darker purple for my shading, and then I blended that out with my lighter color. And that just really fixed my coloring and allowed me to use a completely new color without completely starting this card over. So that's a way to fix your stamping, or fix your coloring if you're ever not happy with the color. Just go over it with a darker color. So I will just continue to repeat the blue, purple, green, yellow pattern that I've created across this entire card front, and just fill in all of those candles. Now I'm going to continue with this pattern too on my sentiment, as you will see in a moment. So it's a good idea if you're doing something like this, just keep your pattern going repeatedly across the card. So once I was happy with all of my blending on the actual body of the candle, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the flames. I started off by coloring each flame completely in with a bright yellow. I'll come in with a red at the very base of each flame and just flick upwards very lightly with it. Then I'm coming in with an orange. I'll start at the very base again, flick upwards a little further than I went with my red, then a darker yellow, and then I'll come back in with my brightest yellow and completely blend this out. And that gives almost a real life flame effect for these. Now on a few of my candles, I went over the lines, no big deal. I'm coming in with a white gel pen, and I can just color over any ink that bled outside the lines, and that cleans it up. You can't see it, and the recipient will never know that it was even there. For my sentiment, I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of white cardstock with the circle die using my die cut machine. Now to go ahead and give this a little pop from the background to differentiate between the two, I'm going to go ahead and mount this on a piece of dark purple cardstock, And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this with the next step up of size of circle in a nesting circle set, and that just gives me a nice small mat around that white piece of cardstock. Now for the sentiment, I will be using the brand new More Candles stamp. This is from Two Paper Divas, and I'm just going to line this up on that white circle that I had just cut. I'm going to go ahead and use my Misty just because this is a brand new stamp for me. I've never used it before. This will just make sure I get a nice clean impression. And again, this I will be using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I will be coloring those little candles images in the sentiment. I'll be coloring those in with my alcohol markers as well. And again, this is a brand new set, so sometimes when you get your stamp sets, they don't want to stamp cleanly until they've been used a few times. So if you don't have a Misty like I do, just make sure you stamp it a few times before you bring it to your actual circle you're using on your card. So for these little candles in the sentiment, I'm just going to repeat that same pattern that I used on the background of my card, the blue, purple, green, yellow for the candles and that, and then I'll bring in some yellow and orange for the little flames on those. Now to put this card together, I'm just going to pop this colored panel up with some fun foam and double-sided adhesive onto an A2 top folding white card base. Now you could use a different color card base because this panel will go the entire length of the card, but you will have a bit peeking up outside the top and the bottom of this. So you could use a colored panel for this, and that would really make that pop. I went for a more clean and simple look with just a white card base. But for this sentiment, I went ahead and put some double-sided adhesive on the white circle, and I will just put that right on that purple circle that I had cut earlier. I'm going to pop these circle sentiments up with just some double-sided foam adhesive, and I'm just going to put it over that candle that I had to correct earlier with the colors I wasn't happy with, and that just covers up that mistake as well. To give this just a little bit of shine, I will go over those little tiny candles in the sentiment with some Wink of Stella, and that finished off the card for today. I hope you guys pull out some of your stamps and try this repeat stamping for a nice background on your card. As always, I will leave you with just a few pictures. For more information and the supply list, you can head to my blog, craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. The link is in the description box below, as well as that I in the top right hand corner. That will get you there too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy crafting!